Hello and welcome to Conversations Need to Be Had. I am your host Chantel Gabriella Jazz and I am joined by Steph Thompson today. Hi babe.
Hey, what's going on?
Thank you so much for coming through. Like literally, listeners, like it's been a madness. I've been hunting down Steph like a madman. Like seriously, just to get this moment here. So I'm just so grateful. So I'm just gonna take a step back and we're gonna be having a conversation. So Steph, please introduce yourself and take the stage.
Hey, my name's Steph and I am 30 years old. I'm a film producer, director, content creator as well. I've been doing that for around 10 years now. I studied in university. Well, to be fair, I dropped out in my second year because I was so eager to get involved, like, you know, in the industry. But yeah, so if anything, I'm actually a creative. You know, I started off as a dancer.
Wow.
And then when I was younger, I wanted to also be a TV presenter, but I started off dancing, so I did street dance, contemporary break dance.
So you can spin on your head.
I mean, I wish.
I want to see it though, man. Come on, maybe you can tap into those frequencies and get back there.
But yeah, man, I stopped dancing at around 19 years old.
Okay.
And I went into musical theatre, and then I went into.
Oh, you went into silence. What has happened? Where have you gone? And now you're back. Now you're back. That's all good. Yeah. So continue.
Yeah. So I went. I stopped dancing around 19 because I had an accident. So I went into musical theatre. Studied that in college as well as drama. And then I thought to myself, yep, this is not for me. I would rather be behind the camera. And I think those were the times where I was actually having gender identity issues because I didn't want to play a particular character. I didn't want to play a female character in the role that I was given, you know, in my drama. My final major production. I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. I can play a man. And that's where I started to really have, you know, identity conflict. So yeah, I'm at the minute self-employed, freelancer. Like, you know, I kind of just create content for businesses. You know, just to help like build their brand across social media networks. And yeah, that's basically me. That
was a lovely summary, by the way. Actually, you summarized everything very well. But we really want to just unpack like the full journey, because the reason why, you know, I got you onto this podcast is because of that gender identity issues that you've had and how that's kind of, you know, played a massive role in your journey and how you've, you know, experienced different things within yourself, which has got you to today. So I kind of just want to really start from the beginning of, you know, when you discovered your sexuality and then, you know, how that then unraveled into, you know, you having gender identity issues.
Yeah, I guess I first discovered my sexuality when I was around probably about 11. But I paid it no mind. I just knew I was attracted to the same sex. It's when I moved to Jamaica now. You know, that's when I started to. I didn't explore, but it almost heightened for me. You know, I was just like, I could feel within myself that I was definitely attracted to girls, you know, and although I was just being a kid, that's what I was in Jamaica. I was just a kid, you know, like I wanted to explore in terms of like just be adventurous, in terms of my childhood, not, you know, sexually, but like just as a kid. So I did. You know, but then I realized that, you know, everyone in Jamaica is quite promiscuous, you know, and it was almost like the in thing to be promiscuous as well. And I started to see myself getting.
Oh, you've cut out again. You're back.
Sorry. Yeah, I started to see myself get involved in promiscuity in Jamaica, because again, like, it was the in thing. So what had happened was, I do remember quite evidently that I must have been riding back to my place, as in like my house, one evening, or I must have been going out, but I can't remember. But it's very dark in Jamaica. there's limited street lights, so you can't really see too much.
For real.
All I remember is, there's this guy that was like always coming to my house, but like just standing outside the gates, coming to check for me like all the time, or just calling me, catcalling and that kind of thing. So he kind of like saw, he was standing outside of a church that I used to go to.
Okay.
And he kind of like he was speaking to me, and then before I knew it, I was in the back of the church, and this guy was trying to do whatever he was trying to do to me.
God.
And then I was just like, no, like, I cannot do this, like, so I kind of left there, and I went home that night. I didn't tell my mom, didn't tell my dad. I just kind of swept it under the carpet. I was like, whatever,
Yeah.
Now, I left that there where it was, and I know that from that day forward, I made a decision to treat women with respect. I made a decision to treat women the way they deserve to be treated. But what had happened was, it's almost like my mind stepped into that role of a man. And I believe that stemmed from the fact that my dignity was taken from me that night, as in, I lost respect for men, so I started to kind of like treasure and cherish women deeper than I did before. Obviously because, I was already attracted to women, but then it was almost like that experience kind of like gave me even more of a reason to, kind of like go that way. Now, I came back over here, to finish school, as in like back to the UK, because my parents was like, it's free, you might as well finish your education here, then we can go back. However, we didn't go back. So yeah, kind of like, it was just education for me at the time. Like, went high school in Wolverhampton, had one friend, like, he was my best friend. It was just me and him together against the world, basically, because I knew there was something different about me and him. So we, even though we would kind of like go in and out of like little cliques and stuff, we would never associate ourselves with cliques. We kind of separate ourselves from the pack. But when it got to, when I left school now, that's when things started to change a little bit for me. Bearing in mind, yes, I still recognize that I was still attracted to women at the time, but I didn't entertain it as much. It was just about school, it was about me and my best friend, innocent childhood stuff, but I grew up and I grew. Again, the norm thing was to be with a man, right? A woman should be with a man should be with a woman. That was the norm thing. So I kind of followed that for a minute, and kind of like got into like little let's call them semi relationships for now with guys, but it was always me in control. I needed to have that control. It's almost like always me in control. I would kind of like lead the relationship, I would be that person, like, that was, it goes my way, and I would never really enjoy being in these relationships either. It was just very, okay, because it's the in thing, let's just do it, whatever, I
did exactly the same thing, exactly the same thing. It was just literally because that's what society has told me to do. This is now why I'm doing this. And I used to would want to get with people that I knew that my friends would like, because I didn't necessarily like them, because I wasn't attracted to men like that. Do you get what I mean? But anyway, carry on. I just wanted to add that in there.
That's okay. But so I did it because everyone else was doing it as well, and that's what was normal to me in my eyes. However, I wasn't trying to, I didn't ever think forward, like, as in I didn't think ahead. Everything was just for the moment, in the moment. And I was more concentrating on dance at the time, because I'd left school. So like college time comes now, and now I find this website called Downlink.
Yes, the classic Downlink.
You know about
Yes.
Downlink? Wow.
What? Listen, for people that don't know what Downlink is, yeah, please explain what Downlink was for us, because literally for our community, it was Facebook. Do you get what I mean? But yeah, tell them what it was, man.
Well, Downlink was basically, it's almost like a bunch of chat rooms on one website where we could explore, or speak to, shall I say, others that feel the same way, as us. So I saw a whole black community on Downlink
yes,
that was
exactly.
exploring their sexuality, because I'd never like really not understood it, but I knew that I was attracted. I was just like, how do we go about this?
Yeah, exactly. How do you go
So
about
I
it?
found Downlink. Yeah, so I found that, and then
Those American chat rooms though were mad. Sorry to cut you, but them American chat rooms were absolute. Because them lesbians over in America, they don't play no games. Like, and that's how I learned about all of the different like labels, all the different roles, like stud and femme and this and that. And wow, yeah. Anyway,
exactly the same. That's what I learned. All those.
we didn't have that. You mean like that's it? We didn't. It was mad, but anyway, yeah.
100%. That's where I learned all those terminologies. Then I started to see that I fit more into the stud category, and then I was like, okay, I'm a stud. I'm the one who's going to take control. X, Y, and Z. But amongst that, I was living a double life. So okay, cool. Yes, the sexuality was one, but then the other thing for me was identity. So at that moment, I would find other chat rooms outside of Downlink, such as Black Chat.
Oh yeah! What? Wow.
We're the same age group, yeah?
Yeah, I think we really are.
Mad. Wow.
Because every time you say these keywords, I'm like, you're taking me back how far?
Yeah, man.
Anyway.
So Black Chat was the thing at the time. I was literally like, let me explore Black Chat, because obviously on there that you didn't really have profiles. We had Emerson, but Emerson had that little emoji. You didn't really have pictures up too tough, So yeah, Black Chat was it for me. I created like a fake account as well. So on this fake account, I would then use somebody else's photos and pretend to be that person. So I made a whole profile.
You were doing up Catfish.
Catfish, we call that Catfish today, yeah. So doing up Catfish now, and I built a whole nother life. Life. Why? Because there was this something within me to say that no, I don't even like the word lesbian. I don't even like the word stud. Like, that doesn't fit me. But I just didn't understand it. I was like, okay, let me try this out then. So then I started to catfish for quite a while, about a year, and I met many different women, not physically, just met online, many different women, and I would have relationships with these women as well. Like, I'm not proud about this that I'm talking about, because it's completely psychologically damaging. So yeah, I'd speak to these women, build relationships with them, and then my ego would also be built, because that woman then would be treating me like a man, and giving me that room to kind of like exercise my masculinity at the time. So then I met this girl from Catfishing that I actually fell in love with. Everybody else was playtime for me. I would deepen my voice on these phone calls. I'd give them a number, I'd, have a deep voice, and all these different types of things. They just thought they were speaking to this light-skinned mixed race guy who was paying, basically.
Wow. So he's even a light-skinned guy. So was you dealing with your own race as well in that? Did you feel like, only like mixed race? Because I know back in the day that's how people used to carry on. It's like only mixed race guys, rare. So did you think that you wasn't beautiful in your colour? Do you get what I mean? As your colour, sorry.
I don't think I emphasised, but I don't think I emphasised that, but I knew that people would be way more attracted to a light-skinned guy than a black guy. And then it was easy as well, because the maddest thing though, Chantal, is that this guy lived in Birmingham. I lived in Wolverhampton at the time.
Stop it. Really?
I didn't know him, but I researched him that hard that I knew everything about him.
You're a Scorpio, of course you researched. Yeah, but I get that. Wow, that is deep.
Hear the joke though. Like me using his profile, and then when I moved, because I became homeless for some time, and then when I moved to Birmingham, I moved into like the orchard in Erdington, and who moved into the same place as me?
Oh my god,
the same said guy.
No,
honestly, I couldn't believe. I was like, hang on a minute. I was so shook. I was like, I've been using your whole life. Anyway, moving on.
That was God, boy. That was God slapping you in the face. Like, what are you doing?
Bruh. So, yeah, like with this profile, I was living a complete double. Actually, I was living a triple life because I was doing downlink, and then I was doing up black chat MSN phone as this guy that I created. So his name was Trey, right?
Okay. Those bait ass mixed race guy names. Oh my god.
Yeah, man, it was like Trey Songdon back in them days. You know what I mean? Like them days, it was just like lovey dovey this, lovey dovey that.
Every day a treat.
You know what I mean? So I played on that anyway because that's where the feelings were in it. So I met this one girl that I genuinely fell in love with. So I thought then, and I was like, this is eating me up now. My conscience is eating me alive. I genuinely want to be with this girl, but how's she gonna take it if I come out to her, if I tell her the truth? You know? Wow. So. Anyway, I ended up telling her the truth. I said, look, I'm not who you think I am, you know. In fact, you know, I'm a girl. Wow. And she was so shocked. She's like, put your voice though? I was like, yeah, I deepen my voice. My voice is now deep. She's like, but you have a deep voice for a girl. And I was like, I know, but like, I made it deep on purpose. And she was so shocked. She started crying, and I was like, look, I hope you can forgive me. You know, I really still love to be with you or meet you or something, you know. Because the maddest thing is, I was going to meet these girls. I'd set up dating times, and I'd meet these girls, but they wouldn't know it's me. So it's almost like I was spying, stalking kind of thing. It's really disgusting, if I'm honest. And then, you know, like she actually forgave me at that point. She was just like, you know what, let's meet up kind of thing. I was like, what? Like, even though I've done this, you still want to entertain a relationship with me? So I went to meet her. She was actually from Handsworth. And we basically built a relationship from there. Like, and that's the first time I really experienced what we call, I'm going to put it on in quotes, true love. So yeah, we was together for a while, and you know, being in that relationship, it's almost like a community started to form around us, better yet from my perspective anyway. And that community, you know, I started to find many other people who were gay or lesbian or whatever in Birmingham and in Wolverhampton. So from then forward, I started to put on house parties, so like gay house parties where it would just like be a bag of nonsense going on in that house party, like, you know. And you know, the circle grew and then Urban Slag came along, and it was just like, let's get, you know what I mean. Then I was like, wow, there's so much black gay people. Then we found out about hostlers. We found out about hostlers versus divas,
of course,
and then there was the booty, and I was like, whoa, it just kept growing and growing. And then I started to go to these places. Me and that girl had broken up as well. And then I kind of like got into another relationship with someone else. And then even in that relationship, I started to play around. Like, you know, I wasn't serious because something had happened in the beginning which made me, you know, which broke the trust. So me as a vengeful person, at the time, I was like, I need to get my own back, you know. Damn. But me getting my own back didn't happen once, twice or three times. It happened all the time. Wow. You know, so I was in this relationship, I was like, yeah, this girl's home for me, but yeah, I'm gonna go out there and do my own thing, you know.
Bruh, you were doing toxic masculinity, boy.
Exactly, but as a girl, you know what I mean. So I did a lot of cheating in that relationship to the point where it broke her, and we ended up breaking up anyway. And that was quite an intense relationship, very toxic relationship as well. Should never happen, but it happened. But anyway, you know, I kind of got very egotistical, you know, because as a stud, you know, you're seen as the man of the community, right? So it's like you're getting all the attention from the girls. It's about stud and them. And when someone was like, for example, a tomboy or a STEM, it was like, you're stepping on man's territory. You get what I'm saying?
Can I just say that what you're saying is so
political.
true? Yeah, it's true. It is in them times. It was political because of those roles, those identity roles that we were playing within our community. Because that happened to me. I had so-called studs coming for me in heaven one time just because they thought I was screwing them. Do you get what I mean? It's just like, it was, them days were just, I don't know, obviously now no one's going out, so like, you know, I don't know if they have that same sort of thing going on, but I feel like back then the way that we were going on was really, really toxic to ourselves. But anyway.
Very. Yeah, very, very. Yeah, so, you know, I started to see how these labels started to define me. And those, just to take it back a little bit, around when I was around 19, in that relationship, the first relationship that I got into, sorry. Well, it was actually a second, first proper relationship, let's say. I had met my first transgender friend. And I was like, yo, like, I clock it. This is exactly what I feel like. This is me. And I said, you know, I was saying to him, I was like, yo, so what, you know, give me some of what you're getting. Like, what I was so fascinated by everything, you know. And then I started to kind of like strap my chest down. I was in my breasts at the time, you know, just to appear to have a flatter chest, wearing bucket hats. Like my clothes got baggier. Used to drop my pants. Like, yo, I did everything to disguise my femininity, everything, you know. And I started to get even more insecure. So that insecurity then would channel into ego. That ego then would channel into narcissism, and that narcissism then became me. That was my identity, you know. So then I'd use that and I'd play on it, and I'd get all the women that I could get. Like, I literally thought I was God's gift from heaven because I was getting all these girls, right? And then again, I had a very distorted image of what it means to be a man, because I was stepping into a role, an unknown role that I didn't know much about, which I thought I did, but I didn't, you know. I got into many relationships, you know, very promiscuous. You know, I was completely just, I was not the prettiest person, as in, like, I had status, you know, I had money at the time, I was driving, like, I had quite a few things that really caught women's eyes, you know. And then obviously at that age in your 20s, like early 20s, you're kind of gullible, you know. You know, you can present a whole world to a woman and a woman saying yes, you know. And then it's almost like it was my thing to turn straight women, not even to turn them, just to be that man in that relationship, you know what I mean. But I would only date, let's say, straight women because I didn't get along with lesbians, or I didn't want to even, you know, associate myself with that. It was just very toxic. Anyway,
it's like ego again.
Ego, yeah. So, yeah, in and out of these relationships, though, I end up at in between these times, though, Chantel, I was researching heavily what it means to be transgender.
Okay.
So I used to come across these YouTube videos of people in America that would transition from female to male. I never used to watch like the other way, like male to female. It was always educating myself on, you know, how to transition, what testosterone they use, and like how often they take the shots, seeing the transformation, because everyone was vlogging at that time as well, you know, but vlogging their journeys, like, you know, and you see their transformation from 1 month to 6 months, from 6 months to 12 months, and it's like, you know, those seeds were planted in me from early, you know, and I'm like, I could never do this, like, but wow, you look amazing. You know how much people would like accept me, and how much people would like me, you know. I wonder what I would look like, you know, with a beard, or, you know, as a man, or with a deeper voice, with no breasts. And man, I hated myself so much. Like, you know, now that I'm reflecting on it, I'm just like, bro, you kind of put yourself through all of that, you know, for acceptance. Wow. You know, so 2014 come now, done the dances, basically. I got into I wouldn't get into a deep state of depression here, but what I would say is I was going around in circles, so it was the same thing day in, day out. Party drama, party more drama. You know what I mean? Like the gay community drama is just levels. It's just like
there's levels to the drama in the gay scene, okay?
Exactly. Like there was levels.
Listen,
like,
I'm telling you. Oh my god, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man. So I was like, okay, I've had enough of this, but I had already built up a status for myself, so the community knew me very well. You know, being a host of all these different parties and like live music nights and poetry nights and all.
How was the scene in Birmingham?
You know what? We merged it with London. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, we merged it with London. The scene in Birmingham, it was so small. Everybody dating everybody, like everyone up in everyone's business, and it was just toxic. Yeah. You know, and I say this based on my own perspective and what I got from it. There may be other views from other people, but this is like my story, innit? So yeah, like it was toxic. You know, the point where everyone's dating everyone, you wanted to kind of find straight women to bring in, basically. Okay. You know, and then yeah, like it was just a load of different things that were happening at that time. So yeah, I got into a relationship with this other girl, you know, and it's almost, I think it was late 2013. You know, my sister had my sister had basically phoned me at one point, and she was like, you know, come to London kind of thing, you know, and she told me to come to London. I went to London, and she invited me to church, and they were having like a baptism service kind of thing. So I went to church, and I didn't know actually, and then she was like, you know what, you might as well get baptized, blah blah blah, and I'm like, hang on, in my head I'm like fretting, I'm like, but I'm not ready, I'm in a relationship, all of this, all of that, you know, and I'm like, but I don't even know what's gonna happen, like, can I still be in a relationship? I had no idea. I was lost, you know. Anyway, went round about, put on this white robe, and they dipped me at some church called Ruach in London. They dipped me, got baptized, and that same night I made my way back to Birmingham with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. We're in a relationship, I don't think this is right, you know, I need someone to show me in the Bible where it's wrong or right, you know what I mean, and that kind of thing. So I was just like, okay, let me just, maybe this can actually work, maybe my girlfriend can get baptized as well, you know. Obviously I didn't understand sin, I didn't understand the walk, you know. So I tried to do the walk even though I had no knowledge of the walk. Me and my girlfriend continued to be together, and I just fed into it even more and more, like as in like into my lifestyle, to the point where I was like, you know what, forget this, why is there so much religions out there, let me go and try, let me go and explore, you know. I was like, there's Buddhism, there's this, there's that, and I said to my sister on the phone, I was like, I'm gonna try. She's like, no, don't do it, it's of the devil, you know. And I was just like, well, how do you know that you ain't tried it, you know what I mean, like so that's when I made the decision to let go of Christianity. So then I went into a deep state of depression. Wow. For about 3 months after that. And I was like, I started living with my friend at the time, and well, I wasn't living with her, I was just staying at her house because I didn't want to see anyone, I didn't go anywhere, I didn't speak to much people, it was just me against the world. That's what it felt like. But now this is the point where I started to battle my gender. I was like, I've never felt like a woman, I've never connected with it, like I don't understand it, like I just don't get it, why was I born like this, you know. All of these thoughts started to go around in my mind, and then it manifested itself into the decision that I made, which was to transition. And you know, I just woke up one morning and I said to my friend at the yard, I was like, guess what, she's like, you're gonna transition into a man. I was like, yep, how do you know? She's like, I could just sense it, I don't even feel comfortable calling you a girl. And I was like, you what? And then she's like, yep. And I was like, wow, okay, that means it's meant to be. So it's almost like that affirmation, not affirmation, that confirmation. Yeah. You know, so I changed my name, you know, by deed poll. You know, I began my medical transition then, like later, like September 2014. And that medical transition, I decided to come out on the internet, on YouTube, because vlogging as well. So I was just like, let me come out on the internet. That way I don't have to keep repeating myself to people, you know. So I came out like on a vlog. And I was just, I said a bunch of stuff. And then, you know, I started the journey. Like, obviously my family was taken aback, but some people were supportive. Others were like, nah, you know, which again, you know, some were like, just like, no, because of obviously their religion, you know. So I went on this journey and I felt very much alone. Again, I knew like probably just a handful of like trans men at that time, although I'd watched a lot of videos. Like in my circle, immediate circle, I knew a handful of trans men. So yeah, when on this journey, everything started to change, and I would vlog again, like, you know, every single week or 2 weeks or something like that, my transition, you know, how I would look, how I would sound, how I would feel, like everything was documented. So I grew even more of a following on YouTube. That following then turned into BBC contacting me. BBC contacted me. I went onto the radio, spoke about what it's like to transition medically, you know, and then BBC Newsbeat would get in contact with me and they were like, yo, let's do a documentary. You know, you go back to Jamaica, you come out to your brother
that
over there. You watched that, yeah. And so I was like, yep, all right, let's do it, because at least then I don't have to come out again and again to the family all around the world that I have. You know, and then I did that, and that went like, it just blew up. Like, blew up when it came out. It went viral. I didn't leave my yard for a good 6 weeks. I was like, I don't even want to know. Like, you know, I didn't want to feel judgment. I didn't want to feel negativity. I was like, let me just hide myself in my yard. You know, whereas the guy that I went with, the other guy that I went through, he was embracing it. It was hard for me to embrace it. So I was like, this is not the limelight that I was asking for. In fact, I wasn't even asking for limelight. I just want to live as Stefan. You know, so I went through, again, another mental, like, breakdown. And then I finally came out the other end. You know, I'd leave my yard all the time, and then I'd get stopped by people constantly. Like, it's almost like I became a spokesperson for the community.
Shit, that happens a lot though, innit, for people. Like, I feel like in modern times, like, there's a lot of people that are like becoming like spokespeople for trans people, and I don't know, it's just I don't want to talk about that just yet, but yeah, carry on. That's because there's some things I want to talk about, but a bit further down.
It does happen, obviously, because, you know, there's a lot of people in the community that do struggle. They do genuinely. So it's almost like they need that support to say that, you know what, I've done it, so can you, you know. So I did a lot of talks with different companies, like, you know, just when, you know, Amazon Audible, you know, BBC One Extra, Newsbeat, like, you know, I just started to get emails after emails after emails of people trying to say, yo, again, you know, I'm not saying I'm one of the first black trans men to come out, because I'm not, but evidently I went to one of the most homophobic countries in the world, you know, so it was seen as bravery, and that's how it was pictured in the media. So I had to be that spokesperson, and I wanted to help people basically transition, because so many people had felt like I did at the time. So yeah, I became that, and I was like, I still continued to vlog, and I was like, nah, this isn't it. Like, I just want to transition. I just want to be known as Stefan the filmmaker. Leave me alone. So then I started to distance myself from the community, and I was like, I'm gonna find myself a straight best friend, basically.
Okay.
What, male biological.
Okay.
I literally wanted to cut off the whole community. I was like, I'm not doing this no more. And I found myself a straight male best friend who was biologically born male.
Okay.
So it helped me understand heterosexuality. It helped me understand the balance between masculinity and femininity.
Wow.
It helped me merge into the heterosexual world as a man. But based on me living as a man, I also then I experienced all the intersectionalities of what it means to be a black man too. Now this was a whole complete different world, you know. And so he was mixed race, by the way, and it was just like, you know, he could understand it as well from his perspective of like being the only mixed race guy in a white school. You know, he was still black. kind of thing. So we kind of like gelled very well, and then we became business partners.
Oh wow.
So we moved in together, and you know, yeah, he became my best friend. We was literally just like, you know, together forever. Like, day in, day out kind of thing. And that's when I started to let go and chip away at the attachments of the LGBTQ community. And remember, at that time, it also started to evolve a little bit more. So the whole labels of stud femme like kind of started to like dissolve. And then, you know, the queer word came in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which was the umbrella of like, you know, or whatever else we have right now, you know. So I like based on that, I started to really concentrate more, or should I say focus more on my career, because like I said, almost like in between these times I was still doing a lot of like, you know, film work, you know, where I kind of like break down stigmas or detach like stereotypes from the LGBT community. I'll do a lot of LGBT community like work in terms of filmmaking. You know, I made this series called Through My Eyes as well, and I made another one called Killing Emmanuel. I made quite a few things as well that was in alignment to the struggles that we face as people who are LGBT. So yeah, when I met him, we kind of made other things that were away from that and was more directed towards race, and like just really creating as human beings, as individuals. So you know, not so much labels, it's more so humans, you know. And I really loved that journey actually. And I mentioned to him before, I was just like, you know, I want to get closer to God, you know. I want to explore this like spiritual walk that you're on. He was into like he's into, you know, new age spirituality basically, and that's the route that I kind of went down with him, and it just came naturally at that time anyway. I started to understand a little bit more about tarot card readings, astral projection, you know, like past life readings as well, and like all these different types of things anyway. And then again, on top of that, we were literally just working to build our company. So then I stopped making vlogs because, like I said, I didn't want the limelight anymore. I needed to detach myself. So amongst that, like, you know, I used to do the whole manifestation thing as well, like, you know, trying to manifest my girlfriend at the time, and that's what I did. And there was this girl that I like genuinely really liked, you know, and I was just like, hang on, yo, she's her, like, she's the one that I want to be with for life. I had a dream about her. And everything, I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden, I seen her on my social media. I was like, hang on, huh? That's the girl I dreamt about. Who's this? You know, like, you know, the image that I had in my head again became very distorted. So I manifested it, and it happened. We got into a relationship. We got into something. And then I was like, yeah, this is where I can really finally be in a heterosexual relationship. You know, without having the attachments of LGBTQ. You know, she's not delved into that before. If anything, I'm probably the first trans guy that she's been with, but she don't even see me as a trans guy. She sees me as a man. Perfect. You know, so she was affirming everything that I needed to be affirmed in me. You know, without even realizing. And you know, again, the masculinity that I had became very toxic. Very, you know, the very stereotypical black man. You know.
And what is that? What is that? How was you behaving at that time?
Misogynistic, narcissistic, traditional. Yeah, like I just, yeah, it was just very toxic. Like, the man had to be the man. You know, you know, women, y'all are in the kitchen, you're in the house, that kind of thing. That's the picture I had in my head. Yes,
that's how you was going on.
Wow. Man feel cook. Like, I know this is the maddest thing. And the thing is, I didn't even come from that type of family.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm like, hold on. So
I didn't come from that type of family. Like, my mum was a matriarch, a woman. My dad weren't, not, you know what I mean? My dad, obviously, he worked and stuff, and he done his part. But my mum ruled the household, yo. Yeah, she worked as well. Do you get me? Like, but yeah, I've got this distorted perception of what it means to be a man now. Because, like, I stepped into a role I knew nothing about. Now I'm carrying the stereotypes of a black man, because that's what I created. Because I'm obviously observing how certain things are happening as I'm going through this journey, and I'm embodying all of these characteristics now.
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
So I'm stroking my own ego with this masculinity that I saw. So I perverted myself. So, you know, she would kind of like, you know, obviously the last girlfriend, she would really help me unpack. Bearing in mind, I'd go through therapy throughout these times, you know, and I would also speak to my ex-girlfriends to ask them, you know, how was I, you know, how did I behave? Like, how was I with you? Because remember, when you've got like, okay, I can't say remember, but like, when you're medically transitioning, yes, you account for the psychological change, but you don't realize how much it will affect not only you but others.
This is what I wanted to talk on.
Testosterone.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to speak on. Is how did that impact you? That drug, like what was it like? Because I've heard people as well say that they were dating someone who was trans, and because they were taking that, it was making them really violent. It was making them like hypersexual, like wanting sex all the time, and just acting really not balanced. So I'd really love for you to just share that perspective that you had.
Yeah.
Experience.
So yes, my libido went up. You know, like sky high, hit the roof, man. I just couldn't stop.
Wow.
You know, and yes, again, there was this sense of hyper masculinity. So it's like we get, you know, we go through puberty again, basically.
Okay.
But puberty this time, we're experiencing puberty in like adulthood. That's how I experienced it. And it's like, okay, so now I'm starting from scratch again. You know, my body's adjusting, it's changing, my skin's changing. You know, my jawline's getting sharper, beard's growing, your voice is dropping, and then all of these changes are happening physically, whilst all the changes are also happening mentally. You know, we don't get taught what it means to be a man, you know, whilst we're transitioning, we're just going through it, like, you know, just, you know, bunny hopping into it kind of thing. Although we have therapy, therapy is there to make sure that you're stable mentally. But how much more stable can we be if we're not really assessing why we really need to transition?
Ooh, yes. Oh God, I love the way you worded that.
I went through the psychological change, and I remember an ex saying to me, "You were so suicidal," and I was like, "Was I?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You just wanted to end it. You wanted to end it. You're triggered by everything, you know." It was just so like. She used the word like she was emotional watching me go through it. And I was like, I never thought of stepping outside of myself and looking at me going through all those changes. And I was like, wow, it was such a drastic change. You know, I thought I was fine, you know, me being in it. I was like, yeah, man, I'm good, you know what I mean? But if this person triggers me or misgenders me, you know, that's it. I'm going for them. Wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was irritable, highly irritable, highly emotional. I was also, just very snappy, like, high libido, like, it was horrible. It was actually horrible. Like, you know, when she said I was suicidal, yes, I was suicidal because, you know, I wasn't getting the acceptance that I wanted. I was just seeking it outside of myself, you know. So yeah, like, it was a very, like I said, although I had the therapy sessions, it was still you know, you against the world, like me against the world kind of thing. The world is against me. I'm having to defend myself all the time. It's like the fight became worse. Like, yes, there's one thing fighting for LGBT rights, there's another thing fighting for trans rights, especially where there were no rights for trans people, you know. At the time, it was just like, how can I even go into this bathroom right now and like sit down? I need to stand up. I should have a penis in front of me, but yeah, I'm sitting down and I got a whole beard on my face. Do you know what I mean? It was that constant war in my mind, like, will I ever be fully man? Or, you know, like, can I ever reach that state of being biologically male? Can I impregnate someone? Can I live life normally like how a biological male would? You know, I couldn't accept myself even being transgender.
Wow.
like I just really wanted to rid the label, which is why I intended to get into a heterosexual relationship, move more into a heterosexual community, have heterosexual friends, heteronormative lifestyle basically. And I was just like, man, you know, will this ever stop? Will it come to a point where I'll you know, be comfortable enough to say, all right, cool, this is it now? Or do I have to move out of my own community, go to somewhere like America so I can live, I don't know, like a hobo, and where no one knows me and I can just live as Stefan and I don't have to keep disclosing my identity to people? You know, so there's this battle that was going on in my mind every single day, but I was covering it up with work. Okay, filmmaker, let's make films, you know? Chatting up girls along the way, you know what I mean, trying to rub and stroke my ego again and build that masculinity back up, and, you know, making me feel good about myself that, yeah, I'm doing the right thing, and then people, you know, affirming that, yeah, you're brave, keep it going, man, do you even know what I'm feeling inside me telling me I'm brave? You know, like, you don't know the mental torment that's actually happening to, you know, someone who's transgender. Is that constant conflicts, and I just, you know, it was horrible for me, but I didn't want to admit that it was. I needed to put on this facade.
Because not many people speak about that. Sorry to cut you.
No, carry on.
No, because many people don't speak about the psychological damage that can be, or effects that can be done in that transitional period. No one really, it's like, for me as someone who's not in that boat, like, I would just assume that if someone has perceived themselves or feels that they are something, and that now that they're going through that transition, that it, literally their life is full of daffodils, and, you know, they're living their best life now. But, you know, just to hear what you're saying, it's like, wow, like, this is not something that anyone should take lightly. And, you know, I feel like sometimes, you know, people just look at the aesthetic and don't realize 100%. The actual biological effects that is happening to your body, and the significance of how you've been designed already, and how taking this, you know, outside of yourself substance that's going to make you to yourself feel that you are this thing, or you not thing, but you are this person that you believe that you are, is like, but it can actually make you even worse. Like, and I don't think no one talks about that, you know?
Yeah, you know, like, completely for myself, I can say for myself, it's true. Everything we do is to cover up the pain, right? You know, and you're trying to get to this place where we feel comfortable as a human being, rather than looking within ourselves and saying, you know, the broken pieces of ourselves was left in our childhood, really. You know, so, you know, as we go through all these different types of scenarios or situations that we incur along the way, like, you know, to adulthood, we're now building a persona.
Yes.
So that persona, again, the outer ego, right, that will, you know, protect whatever is vulnerable within you. You know, the heart is a vulnerable place, and I guess that's where God got me, my heart. You know, because no one could tell me any different about, you know, head knowledge, or like trans knowledge, or LGBT rights, or human. No one can, veganism, nothing. It was the heart. Walk one for your heart, you know what I mean? But obviously I get there. I get there, but like, yeah. So I knew, like, every single year I felt some type of way. I didn't want to be here. You know, I just, like, really psychologically, it burned me out. Gosh, you know, when I think back to it now, I'm like, wow, like, there's so much that my body endured, and my mind as well. You know, I really put my body through a lot, and I just think about, I just remember also being on the waiting list to have the final surgery.
Okay.
Something said, get off that waiting list, literally.
Really?
Just something small said to me, get off that wait, do not have lower surgery. You know, and I made the decision to basically not go through with lower surgery in September 2019, I think.
Wow.
And that's when I became super depressed again, because I felt like everything was melting away from me. So me and my girlfriend were breaking up, basically. Even though we wasn't together, we were just breaking things up because it became a burden for her as well, per se, because she all of a sudden was now fighting a cause that she's never fought before. You know what I mean? And it was just like, for me to even put her through that, like, it was subconscious. It wasn't direct. I was like, you know what? You don't have to worry about what people say to you, but her family members were worried. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, imagine someone who's now like having to reconsider their sexuality. You know, even though I'm like, nah, I'm not a girl. I'm a man. I'm drumming it down her. You know, and she's seen that, and she's like, I know I can see that. But I know that sometimes in her heart it did confuse her.
Oh, bless her.
But yeah, so we were breaking off anyway, and I just remember like I lost my film business as well, as in like we lost the office to our film company, couldn't afford to pay the rent anymore, and then I was homeless and I was sleeping at the office. And then one night, I remember one day actually my friend was having a conversation with one of the women that works with us in that office. And he was talking about, sorry to be so graphic, but like he was just talking about the way he fixes himself wearing boxers. And I felt so excluded out of that conversation as someone who was supposed to be a man, that I went literally in my head, I think something broke. Something broke in me. And that's when I was like, I cannot even come into this conversation or get involved in this conversation because I cannot relate. That makes me feel it almost like it brought, you know, the reality of my situation to the surface. And now I had to deal with this. I was like, I didn't say it in my head, but it was almost like you will never be a biological male. And that's what you're trying to aim for. You don't want to be transgender. You didn't want to be a lesbian. You didn't want to be a stud. You had all these conflicts, all these ideas. You know, you're emotionally dependent upon women. You know, now you become this toxic male who's trying to undo misogyny. You're trying to undo, you know, the stereotypes. You're trying to advocate for this. You're trying to do all these films. You're trying to speak on behalf of people. Who are you? That's when I really started to question myself. You know, who are you? You're covering up all of this thing and masking it. So to the outside world, you're this alpha male who don't even look female. You know, who's had the best transition or the best top surgery and blah blah blah. Puff, ego. But yet you haven't even dealt with the, you know, the most integral part of yourself, which is the heart. So yeah, that's when I was just like, that's it, I'm gonna take my life. So like, you know, my intention was to, you know, drown myself in the reservoir. And I did walk there. I stayed at the bus stop though, like it was like 2 a.m. in the morning, and I was literally sitting at the bus stop like, what has my life come to? Well, anyway, I on the way to the reservoir was my friend's house. Something just told me to go to her yard, even though I've not seen her in so long. And I don't remember where she lives, and then she lives in a block of flats. How am I going to get in? Anyway, I went there. You know, she lives in one of those tower blocks, so you have to kind of key in a number or press the buzzer to get in.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the number, but something told me to open the door. I opened the door, it was open. And I was like, wow, look at this. I walked in, I couldn't remember what floor she lived on. Anyway, I found it. She opened the door, she was actually still awake. And she saw that was a mess.
Yeah.
You know, she made me stay in her son's room. And then the police came and took me to the hospital. You know, and then my sister like was on the phone like, why would you do this? Like, I was literally an absolute mess. So she told me to come and stay with her. She's like, I didn't know you was homeless, and you know, we can't lose you. Like, honestly, she kind of put some sense into my head again. I stayed with her, so I moved back to Wolverhampton. I stayed with her for about a month until I could get myself back on my feet. And I had to take a break from everything to reconsider and like just to understand what life is. So to kind of like fast forward a little bit, I started working as a personal trainer in Pure Gym. And then I met someone special, as in like, so I feel like God put this person in my path, and he used to kind of like just ask me questions. We'd have, little chats as well about, um, the word. He would have little chats about like certain things that he researched, and I just found him super interesting, and so nice as well. As in, like, just so vulnerable, so real. Like, I remember him breaking down to me like about what God had done for him. Even though I didn't understand at the time, I was like, wow, this big man's crying to me. What do I do with these tears, But I was like, why is he crying? What has he gone through? So then I was really intrigued that if you ever want to sit down for coffee, we can read a word together. I was like, so, because I'm like, bro, do you